Your waking world is shaped by dreams. Dreams and nightmares that I create and which I must control.
So first, for both of you, like real you, are the new dream. What is one element of the dreaming that Morpheus made that you would keep, and then how would you redesign it for yourselves?
Ooh.
Wow,
Yes.
that is a question.
Boom. I'm in.
Oh my goodness.
I keep Fiddler's Green. I mean, firstly, the first thing that's tough is that throughout the different issues of Sandman, over the kind of the whole behemoth that is the kind of the graphic novel as a whole, there are different designs and iterations of the dreaming itself. So like Morpheus's castle looks entirely different in different issues. So I might give that a bit of a polish. What about you?
You've stolen mine. I also love Fiddler's Green. Oh, it's just so lush and beautiful and peaceful. And I just want to like swish around in the grass. Because you stole my other one, maybe House of Mysteries? Give it a bit of a spruce up.
Yeah, it's quite depressing around there.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'd keep Lucienne, and I would also up the amount of gargoyles.
I mean, for
okay.
sure.
I'm pretty sure I just gave the right answer.
Gargoyles in general or baby gargoyles?
Honestly, I'll keep them both.
Okay.
I would like them both, please.
Fine.
All right, so Tom, for you specifically now,
Yeah.
I was reading that you were trying to meet Morpheus in your dreams. Have you had any success with that?
How have you read that already? I feel like I only said that about 10 minutes ago. What? This is how this works. God, it's amazing.
Technology.
Sorry. So
Did you actually make it happen eventually?
well, so the truth is no. But having said that, when the day that I got the part, I did dream about him. But I dreamt about him as opposed to it wasn't a kind of conscious meeting between me and him. He was in my head, and that was a really wonderful experience because I remember waking up going, wow, I'm playing Morpheus and I just dreamt about him, and it was very strange. But then it is true that during the making of it, in a kind of jokey way, but then slightly more and more seriously, I definitely started to try and take control of my dreams, to not be passive inside them, to see if I could, as their creator, make things, and then I did start to try and look for him just to give me some tips on how to play him. But
What is the key to doing that? As someone who has no control over her dreams and can't even remember them, give me your secrets.
It's about really, I mean, for me, I can't speak for anybody else. It's just about being really, the first thing you have to do is realize you're dreaming. I mean, that's the first step, I've just become quite good at it. I've become quite good at going, okay, this is a dream. And then you almost have to tell your whole body that it's a dream. And once you kind of start to be conscious, then you feel your body inside the space and you can kind of start to go, okay, I'm going to go left now. Because often in dreams, we just bear witness to something. We're kind of cameras as opposed to physical bodies. And it's about turning the camera into you. And that takes a little bit of thought, but it is possible.
I've just realised I've done that. God, every day is a learning day.
I want some of that, please. I need these. I need to be able to use these secrets and actually access my own. One of my favorite parts of the show is the dynamic between Lucienne and Morpheus. She's so incredibly loyal to him, but also, how do you figure out what kind of, I guess the guiding light should be in terms of when he crosses the line and she needs to step up and act? Is there any specific anchor in that respect that tells you in your head when she steps up and says no, it's true to character?
Oh, I think it's because it's for protection of both the dreaming and Morpheus, and she wants to protect that. So it's like in life, isn't it? I mean, I haven't got kids, but I imagine it's like having a child. You want them to express themselves and be playful and maybe go and play over there. But once you see that it's getting a bit dangerous and that they might hurt themselves, you have to rein them in and pull them back and say, do you know something? You can't do that. And I think that in that sense, that's a bit of what their relationship is like. I'm not saying that he's a child, but it is that thing of very much going, okay, I'm going to speak up now because I don't think this is good for you. And it's born out of love and respect. And that's why I think that she does say, whoa, hold on. nightmares do not belong in the waking world.
Oh, it turns out I fit right in.
Dreams don't die.
This series has been a long time coming, an adaptation on screen. So after all this time, after all this work, is there any particular scene that wound up being the most awe-inspiring for you to see come to life?
I think for me, the thing that was literally the most awe-inspiring was watching a pub. Two people meeting in a pub and what happened to that pub every 100 years and the cumulative effect of what our production designers, what our props guys, what our costume people, what everybody brought to that for essentially, half an hour of television that takes you on this astounding journey through time, but is all about friendship and is all about loneliness. I look at that and it's like, look, if we never make any more Sandman, if the whole thing, if that was all there ever was, but we made that, I'd be still the happiest boy in the sandbox.
It's a major, major highlight. How about for you, Allan?
Well, it's funny that you chose a pub because I'm choosing a diner. So we go to hell and we go to the dreaming and we're happiest in restaurants. But only because it's such an iconic issue of the comic, and it was so terrifying, not only because of its subject matter, but because I really didn't know how we were going to do it. And so the process of figuring that out and casting it, and because of COVID, we ended up having to shoot that right after the first episode. We built that diner. We were able to rehearse it like a play for an entire day so that the actors got to work on their characters. And then we shot it in sequence over the course of the next 13 days with the actors all on set all the time. So it never happens in TV and film ever. So that was something I had never experienced before outside of the theater, and it was a thrill the entire time.
Oh, incredibly effective. All right, let's get into casting Tom now. So I was doing my research and I heard you saw something like 1,500 audition tapes for that role, but you knew Tom was the one right from the beginning. So what were the qualities he had then that made him stand out to you? But then also, maybe just for fun, what is the most out of left field thing you saw someone do in an audition tape for Dream?
The left fieldest one for me was a guy from, I think, Eastern Europe, who they sent to us not because the acting was any good, but because the guy looked like a special effect. He looked like he'd been drawn. He looked like he was elongated. It was one of the most amazing human faces and human physiognomies I had ever seen. And I would love to, if only the acting had been as good as the strange, glorious weirdness of the guy's face. It was amazing. But yeah, Tom was, I went back in my emails and Lucinda Sison, our casting director, her first email to us contained 4 people. And Tom was number 3. And I remember going, oh, good. There we go. There's one. Fabulous. Allan hadn't been sure that we'd find one, but there's one. In a week or so, we'll have a dozen of these. And then we'll have our shortlist, and then we'll get to choose. But we found one. He delivers every Morpheus line perfectly. He's got the gravitas. He's smart. He knows how to say this stuff almost instinctively, and none of these other 3 are landing the dialogue. Okay, we'll be, this is great. And then the next email had, another 5, and then the next email had another dozen, and then we're looking at them, and the process kept going, and then COVID happened. We just got to the point of convincing everybody that it was Tom. And then COVID happened and everything went on pause, and Netflix were like, just make sure you've looked at everybody possible. So at that point, we looked at about another 800 Morpheuses around the world, and it was still Tom, number 3. It was him. And he embodies so much. he has... It's sort of hard to explain other than you watch 3 minutes of Sandman and Tom is Morpheus, Tom is Dream. That's something that you never have to worry about again because he is.
So you find someone who you think is perfect, you have your wonderful source material, but what are some of your earliest goals for the character going into filming, and how did those goals evolve as you went through the production process?
I mean, we wanted everybody to love him.
Yes, and we spent some time trying to make him look comics accurate, which was just folly. It taught us a lot, and it taught us that, you know, you can put a fright wig on him, you can put black contact lenses in his eyes, you can mess with them digitally, you can grow his fingernails, and in the end, we lost Tom. And so we stripped everything away, and what you're left with is Tom Sturridge as the essence of Morpheus, and that we felt supremely lucky. And so the goal was, for me, you know, the sort of difference is as the showrunner, I had to really track his emotional arc and his psychology and what his reactions are to the things that are happening to him. And in the comic, we don't have the benefit of much of that. You narrate episode 4, he narrates episode 4. But apart from that, you've got to start tracking his thoughts and his feelings and why he does the things he does and makes the choices he makes. And at first it was sort of terrifying to know that that was my responsibility along with Tom, but then it became the best part. So we charted Morpheus's course internally and obviously through his behavior as a trio. And it was really exciting because I learned a lot about the character that I didn't know as a comics fan.
I thought about giving up, but I have a job to do, and I do it.
Things have changed.
First question is for both of you. If Death and Desire dreamed, what would they dream about?
Oh.
Abstract.
Very abstract. Extremely. I feel like I must have the Death of the darkest dreams. I think her waking life would maybe be like some sweet respite from her dreams. But how could you not? If that's your job?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know specifically what she would dream about, but I feel like they would be dark.
I think there would be a lot of wetness and pulsating orgies in my dreams. I'm so sorry, but you know, it's just like colorful and a little sexual.
I'm picturing that music video "Liquid Dreams" from O-Town. Do you remember that? That's what I'm thinking. That would be your dream.
Yeah.
Did not think I would be thinking about that today.
Well, you'll be thinking about it all day now.
Here's another kind of like abstract theory for you, Mason. So I feel like we get this with Death a lot in the show, where we understand what she understands about life compared to Dream. But for Desire, what do you think that they understand about life and humanity that Dream can't?
Well, a lot of the tension that comes between the two of them, I think, derives from the fact that they both have massive egos and think that they are the most important aspect of humanity and the most important aspect of the universe. And because, you know, Desire says it themselves, like, there is no dreaming without want and without need, without desire. And so it's kind of like a chicken or the egg thing, I think, between the two of them, sort of chasing each other, trying to prove to the other that, you know, they don't exist without each other. And so I don't necessarily know if they're really what the answer to that necessarily is, except for that Desire is, in their experience, one of the most, if not the most powerful and important aspects of the human condition, because of how many parts of humanity they control, how much falls under their realm, from love to need to want to sex. You know, it is this all-encompassing feeling that really does inspire and propel us to do the things that we do and to dream the things that we dream, and so I think that's my best answer.
That was a beautiful answer. I love that. So Kirby, for you, you have had a whole lot of TV experience, but there is really nothing like Sandman out there. And It was making me wonder, of all of your past shows, which one would you say came in handy the most as far as the experience you had there that you could apply to your work on Sandman?
Interestingly enough, actually, a couple of people have drawn parallels between between death and Simone, who I played in The Good Place. I think just because there is the idea of death and the afterlife and things like that. But I do think that was probably the role that helped most because, one, Simone had a lot of like very technical jargon words, and I think also so does death in moments, a lot of tongue twisters. And then also I really specifically, one of the things that I latched onto, or that I was encouraged to latch onto by Mike Shaw when approaching Simone, was how much joy she found in the world and how much joy she found in learning and education, and that was why, you know, she was a scientist, but she found so much wonderment in that. And I think that's pretty similar to death. You know, she really does find joy in the world, and particularly in things that other people may not find joy in. She finds a way to delight in the smaller things.
That's why she's one of my favorite characters. All right, I'll wrap with this one for you, Mason. So, I mean, Desire is kind of like the villain of the show, but while playing them, are you able to view them as a villain? And I guess also to add on to that a little bit, what was it like trying to figure out how far to push it with the menacing quality? How big to go with something like that? Because it's delicious and I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah. You know, in my experience, Desire is the hero of their own story. And one of the first things that Neil told me, you know, in our earlier meetings about the character was that Sandman could very easily be a story that's told from Desire's perspective, and it would be a lot more fun. It would probably have a lot more sex in it. And that in that version of the story, they just keep brushing up against their stuffy older brother who refuses to change and refuses to acknowledge how important they are to him, and sort of resents and blames them for everything that's sort of gone wrong in his previous, you know, past when it comes to love and things that fall under Desire's realm, when in reality it's very much so on Dream. So I think what's fun about the character is that because the Sandman is told from his perspective, it's very easy for audiences to kind of interpret Desire as the menacing kind of, you know, fun villain. But for them, they're really just kind of dealing with familial issues. And a lot of the reasons that they mess with Dream is because they know that Dream can handle it, and that despair is in need of something to do. You know, despair is the only endless that has ever died. At this point in the story, like we are meeting these two characters, and Desire is trying to bring their sibling along on some kind of journey, whatever that is, in order to keep them alive as well. So I really tried my darndest to give audiences both sides of that character, so that people can eventually, if we get to expand all the stories and tell the whole scope of it, they'll get to a point where they'll really understand every single thing that's happened between Dream and Desire and why we meet them where they are in season 1. But for now, it's kind of fun that people just interpret me as this little nasty minx.
Your eyes will tell me everything. Every thought, every feeling.
My creations do not walk amongst the living, killing mortals for pleasure.
Oh, you don't think dreams can die? Let's find out.
First question is for both of you. Let's say you, like as in real you, had Rose's ability. Whose dream would you choose to walk into and why?
Oh, if I was Rose or you were Rose? Or
like you, like real you, if you had her ability. So like in the real world.
Oh my gosh. I'd have to go into some sort of political espionage.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. That's true. I
want to know all the secrets. I want to know. I want to get into to NASA.
I like that choice.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I mean, if there was, like, I can't think of anyone in particular, but, like, you know, when there's, like, just very powerful people or any dictators where it's like, what is going through your head? I would kind of want to know.
You are using it for good. I like this. I'm like, put me in, like, Michael Crichton's brain so I could, like, see what he dreams about dinosaurs or something. All right, so Vanesu, for you, this is like a huge first big project that you booked right here. So having gone through the experience of making Sandman season 1, what advice would you give to another up-and-coming actor out there whose first project is something as massive as this?
I would say take it in. I would say believe in yourself, because it's easy to get imposter syndrome, especially if you book something big like for the first time. I would say learn to take care of yourself and pace yourself. And it's there's a lot of glamour, but like it's still a job. So allow yourself to understand that you are still working hard and you should take care of yourself, and allow yourself to just indulge in things sometimes. It's easy to sometimes, like for me, I kind of deprived myself at times because I was just like, oh yeah, no, like, it's so easy to undermine what you're doing. So I'd say don't do that. Pace yourself, take care of yourself. You're doing good.
That was like the healthiest balance of a little bit of everything. I love it. All right, Boyd, for you, I obviously have to ask about the Corinthians' eyes. So two-parter on that one. What is something about the effects work that's required to do something like that was a big challenge for you to overcome? But then also, what is something about all of that wound up being, creatively fulfilling in a way that surprised you?
I love the comic. I love everybody that was involved in it, that Neil was going to be so hands-on. I just could not get over the fact that I don't have eyes. And so how is the age-old thing of the soul is in the eyes, and Allan was trying to reassure me. And having the glasses and all that, it just became this, rather than a hindrance, it became this sort of, I guess you could say, power that I had. And it was like being cloaked in something. So I really could transform into to be something else, because I know that you couldn't see my eyes. And so that ended up being a wonderful thing.
I dug that and how you carried yourself in the role quite a bit. Beyond the source material, did you have any other sources of inspiration for what you wanted him to be in this version? Like, I don't know, like a folklore monster or another film and television villain, something like that?
Well, yeah, inspiration comes from all kinds of places. I just started seeing that he was this connoisseur, this almost like a sommelier of eyeballs. And so really embracing the elegant and the delicacies that I had a palate for. And I just found this weird culinary thing that started happening for the Corinthian that I just never expected.
I just want to see a movie called The Sommelier of Eyeballs now.
Right. You couldn't cut it with a knife. It would just keep bouncing off the plate.
Little Hannibal vibes here. I like it. I was wondering, did you do any research into lucid dreaming for this? That stuff fascinates me.
Oh, yeah. Not for this, actually. Not too much about my own sleep schedule or sleep life really changed because of the show. But in general, I have looked a bit into lucid dreaming. There was actually a video that I listened to, like, to try and do it. And then, like, my leg kicked and then I got creeped out, so I turned it off. But yeah, it's a very fascinating thing. I'd love to do it one day.